So I'm curious before we get started, as far as tactile graphics go, I guess where's everybody's experience level with that? Are you new, wanting to kind of get a little bit of information, or is there anything specific that you were looking to get out of the webinar today? New, perfect. So this will be kind of a on a Delta 2. Oh, played with the Rogue at CSUN. Would like to learn new things. Perfect. So this is going to be a little bit more of a we're going to have kind of the entire spectrum here a little bit. So I usually like to work with TSS. We've got Lindsay on the call today. Lindsay does a lot of our graphics and web stuff. She's becoming an expert in creating tactile graphics. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but on our website we have coloring books. We tend to show those off at the shows, so you may have seen that at CSUN or ATIA. Lindsay's the one that creates all of the coloring books, all the tactile graphics in there. So um, she's going to have a little bit to share today as well. Perfect. Lindsay, do you have the ability to admit people as they're joining?
Um, I think so. There isn't anybody
Cool.
waiting right now, but
Okay, perfect. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. We've got quite a few people on here, so I will go ahead and get started. And if you notice anybody, if you would please let them in.
yep, I can.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to open up Word because that's usually where I like to start with this. The kind of the thing that so I noticed somebody had mentioned having a Delta, looking at the Rogue. One of the nice things about our printers is that they work truly as a printer. So when you buy a printer from, you know, Best Buy or Office Depot, you kind of expect that to work with anything that you're using on your computer, anything that has a print button, Word, Excel. Um, if you have an image or something like that, like a JPEG, you would expect that to work as a printer. Traditionally, a lot of people, when they buy embossers that are not V Plus embossers or not like the Pixblaster or the Iron embossers, have um, kind of got the expectation that you need to use specific software, such as Duxbury or TactileView, which is um, pretty normal for the pretty normal for embossers. Um, we have set up our printers to work truly as a printer. So if whatever you're using in on your computer has a print button, you can print. So that's Word, Excel, um, images that you download off the internet, um, images you make. Sometimes if I have to make something that, I just need to have like a quick doodle or something like that I need to print out, I'll put that in Microsoft Paint. We have Tiger Designer that you can make tactile graphics in. Well, Lindsay has been using um, Illustrator quite a bit, Adobe Illustrator, which is by itself a pretty advanced program. But still, it has a print button, so it works great with our embossers because our embossers are set up like a printer. They're a true printer. Um, so tactile graphics is actually pretty easy, and we're gonna dive into it with Word to start with. Um, Usually with a tactile graphic, you have some sort of text, and so we'll probably have a mix of graphics and text a little bit throughout the presentation today, and I'll show you how to edit some of that stuff and kind of how to get the most um, out of your embosser if you're just getting started. Um, So when you first install the Tiger software suite, the main thing you'll notice is when you open up Word or Excel, you're going to have a Tiger ribbon. The great thing about the Tiger ribbon up here is this is what allows you to do the translation of the text. There is there's a profile setting. Let's see here. There's a profile setting over here, and the profile setting is what allows the text to be translated the way you want. So since you will see that a little bit, and I'm going to cover this fairly quickly, since this is mainly focused on tactile graphics. But this will allow you to change things like the English or your language. I have mine set to English. Your contraction, I have mine set to grade 2. I have a modified table right now, and I think I just did that for demonstration purposes, but you can select the contraction table. And if you're doing math Braille type, you can select which math Braille type you're using. As far as ink settings go, the Delta, the Rogue Sheet, the Embraille, all of those can do two-pass printing, which is fantastic, and we can go over that today, which allows you to create a tactile graphic and print that out on say an office printer that will print the ink. Then you can feed the ink sheet into the embosser and hit print on that, and that will emboss it. Those embossers won't add ink in a single pass, but because the alignment on our cut sheet embossers is so good, you can print on one printer and then put the same paper in the embosser and still get kind of a color ink and embossed sheet. So these are the settings on whether or not you would like to do interline or whether you would like to have ink added in the translation. As far as the page layout goes, this is pretty standard stuff for a printer. It's going to ask you your page size, margins, things like that. I do have printer properties here. I do want to make sure before we get too far into this that I have it set up the way I want. Come back to this here in just a second. So this the printer properties is universal across the machine. So if you go to set up something specific for like patterns or gradients, that will be for everything. And I'll dive deeper into that as we get further into the webinar. As far as the document settings go, this is basically how you'd like to handle the document if you have headers or footers, whether you'd like to change those or remove them. So let's get started with making a tactile graphic. Usually I like to start by adding a little bit of text. So I'm just going to type in quick brown fox jumped over the fence. So usually we have a little bit of a kind of a descriptor there. And then I'm going to insert. Yeah, we're just going to pick an image off of Microsoft's online pictures. And I'm just going to say cartoon box. And I'm just going to pick this one and insert. And so the nice part about this is I'm going to take the credit out of there because it translates that. With this, because it's a printer, it will always print the graphics. So when we translate this document, it's not going to look like it did anything to the tactile graphic, but it will translate the text. So if I go back to the Tiger menu, I can hit translate document, and I'm going to hit save. It's going to ask me to save the document. And this is where all of the profile settings come in. So as it's translating, it's going to do English Braille that is grade 2 with the contractions that I had selected, which I had all of them selected there. Because I had the ink turned on, it did add the ink above the Braille as well. So when I go to print this now, it works just like a normal printer. So it's going to give you a print preview. I'm going to print this to the Rogue Sheet. This is kind of my favorite embosser for doing tactographics. Um, but this is a print to file. So this is going to open up Tiger Designer. And in doing so, let's see, Box. I'm going to save this to the desktop. And so this is going to print a digital, kind of a digital representation of what it would look like coming out of the printer. Um, and so this is a PRN file, which is a Tiger print file, and it opens Tiger Designer. So the nice part about this is this is another piece of software that comes with the Tiger software suite. It works great for doing tactographics. With that, you can also edit tactographics in here. So we have the text that we did from Word with in Braille. Braille is always represented as blue dots. We also have 8 different dot heights that we can do for tactographics. So it has all of the 8 dot heights on the left side here. We also have a lot of features that we can do to edit some of this. So if it's easier to edit in Tiger Designer for some people, we can make edits. For me, it's easier to edit in Tiger Designer than it is in Word. So if I wanted to like apply a label to the Fox, let's say that we were wanted to, I have my line tool and I can select the dot heights that I would like to draw with. I'm going to draw a line here that goes from his tail here. And we have the Braille tool. So we can click off here and type in tail. And then you can move this where you would like. If for some reason you decided that the Braille text that you added was a little too far to the left or something, you can always take the selection tool, make selections here. And this is just the standard keys of Control X would cut, Control V would paste, and then you can move stuff around to however you would like it to look. Some of the different tools that we have in here. So we have the draw tool in Tiger Designer. And this is just like a pencil, like it would be in Paint, where you can do drawings. You can select different dot heights even. So if you wanted to do a lower dot height, you can also draw here. We also have the brush tool, which is just like the Paint tool, but it's a little bit wider. So sometimes it's nice to have a little bit more of a fill there. We have the draw and fill rectangle. So I'm going to make this larger dot height again. You can add different shapes. So we have a square there. So you can draw the rectangle or do a rectangle with fill. Same thing with the oval. And then this is a flood. That's like the paint bucket. So if I wanted to take and do lower dot height, I can do lower dot height fill with the paint bucket. If for some reason, let me just Control Z. So I'm going to undo that. We also have the pattern fills. The patterns are awesome. And some of them look kind of goofy here. But this is, so let's actually use this one because on a 4x4 square, it's kind of difficult to tell what it is. If I say, okay, I can fill this, it makes sense that, oh, that was actually a vertical line and a diagonal line, but you can use fill with patterns. And you'll notice too, the pattern fill was the lower dot height that I had selected. So if I wanted to Control Z, do the higher dot height, I'll change that a little bit. And also, the selection tool, so you can select things and just hit the delete key. And so sometimes that's, if you want to take the whiskers off of the fox for some reason, you can make some edits to the graphic after you have made that in Word. Usually I found it's pretty easy for me to start within Word. It seems to be kind of the quickest way to get the project going. A lot of things come in Word. A lot of times you can do export Adobe PDF files into Word. And this will print anything that's an image as far as the tactographic goes. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. So let's not save it. Now, I kind of rushed through the profile settings when I first started. We're going to go back to those because TSS8 came out, I think that was last year, and we had some really cool stuff that came out with TSS8. So the Fox, for example, had different dot heights for the different colors. His feet were black. His body, where it was orange, was gray, which is great because it can tell. It gives you, with the different dot heights, it gives you different. It gives you an ability to kind of differentiate some of the colors in the tactographic. I'm not going to do text on this one, but we're going to insert another picture. We're going to pick something that's pretty colorful. So I'm going to say Bart Simpson. So no, Bart's a colorful character. This one. If you've been to one of the shows, you've probably seen our Bart Simpson on display. Not our Bart Simpson. You've seen one of the printouts that we have done of Bart Simpson. And so we're going to go over how we made that here. You'll notice that usually I will try to make the graphic as big as possible because with tactographics, bigger is always better. So we have Bart, and no translation needed here because it's just a graphic. So the translation process is for text. So just like any other printer, I can just go to File, Print. I have this set to the rogue sheet. Print this, and we're going to call this Bart. Save this to the desktop. And as it's working down here, wait till it finishes. And some of this stuff, so you'll notice I'm assuming this is the artist signature or the person that drew Bart. That is an image of text, which will not translate into Braille because just being an image of that will translate into an image. So if we go into the file here that we have of Bart, you'll see that it was just, it translated into a graphic. So what we could do here, we could take this, we can just get rid of it, not have it all together. If we wanted to, we could even come back and add Braille. Say Matt, remember what his last name is, where's just say Matt G. So yes, tactographics is pretty easy to create. When we came out with TSS8, the thing we noticed is when you start working with colors, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to differentiate the difference. When everything is converted into a grayscale, it makes it hard to tell the difference between certain colors, especially on Bart. So we have, I believe he had a red shirt. Yes, he has a red shirt, blue pants, yellow skin, and a green skateboard. And so when this prints out as a tactographic, you've got the lines that will separate the colors, but you can't tell that this is a red shirt or that these are blue shorts or that this is yellow skin. So we started trying to figure out a way that we could differentiate that easier. And that's where our profile settings came up for the patterns. We've always had patterns, but we started using the color pattern fill as a way to differentiate colors within the printer driver. I'm going to go back to printer properties, and you can go into the Tiger menu and hit more options and say apply patterns. So when you apply patterns, this will pull the patterns from Tiger Designer, which I can go over that here in a minute. And you can create your own pattern libraries. I have the default pattern library on here. I know that several of the people in the office use different pattern libraries. And basically it's what makes sense to you. You can customize the tables, make your own, modify them. We're gonna make this this adjustment. I'm gonna hit save. So now when I go to print, it's gonna print it out using patterns. File. So same file. Print. We're gonna call this Bart pattern. Save this to the desktop. And I really like the color pattern fill, specifically because it's at least the default color pattern fill. It makes it really easy when you're printing. This is the old one. Actually, okay, I'm gonna save it. So there's the old one. Refresh here. We have the pattern, and so this is the new one. And so instead of doing different dot heights for different colors, what we've done now is different patterns. The fun thing about this that I like is, so with his blue shorts, we have this one set as blue being diagonal, or blue being horizontal, and yellow being vertical. Because of that, we can start to mix patterns. So when you mix blue and yellow, you're going to get green. But when you mix the blue and yellow pattern, you get the square pattern for green. So you can start to work on color theory with some of your students, similar to so yellow here and red for his shirt. Earlier, we were using a pattern for the square that was this one. So I go here, and we're going to make a square. Actually, we're going to make a square fill. No, we're going to make a square here. And based off of the pattern, this pattern here. So this pattern would actually be a combination of the red shirt and the yellow, which would be the same color as orange. Again, this is just the default pattern table, so you can adjust this. I think Lindsay uses a different table. Some of the ones in the coloring book we have as blue being waves, red being bricks. So, it just kind of depends on what makes sense to you. The fun part about this is when, Tactile Graphics is great for making graphics, but sometimes we get into projects where we need something like, so don't save, something like Excel. Let's make some charts and some graphs. And so I'm just going to open up a blank document, and we're going to do let's do a pie chart here. Dogs, cats, and fish. And so we'll say there's 4 dogs, 6 cats, and 2 fish. And so just like Excel, over here to hit insert, and we're going to select that we'd like to make a pie chart. And so before we go to translate this, we want to call this pets. And then usually what I do is I right click on this and I say move chart. I want to move this chart to its own sheet. And then since this chart is selected, I can go to the Tiger menu. Very similar to the Word Tiger menu, you're going to have your profile settings here, which we don't necessarily need to dive into for the Tactile Graphics on this one. We can do that on a different training. But we can hit translate document. And what this is going to do is this is going to translate the chart and the sheet that we have. Just say OK here. And this is going to translate this for, so we have the chart, which was what we just made. We have the Braille chart. We have the ink chart. We have the first sheet that we had. We have that in Braille, and we also have that in ink. So the difference between the Braille and ink is if you want to print this out on, let's say for a Delta or a Rogue sheet embosser, you could print this sheet on an ink printer, load that same sheet in, go to the Braille sheet, and hit print, and that would print the ink over top of the Braille, so you can have ink and Braille in an embosser that doesn't have capability to print ink. But let's see, if we go to our Braille chart, I'm going to hit print on this one. Print this to, let's go call this pi. And the nice part is because the settings are across everything on Windows, we're now using Excel. We know that the pattern for orange is a vertical line and a diagonal line. I'm not sure blue. It's kind of a mix of blue, but let's see how the patterns turn out on. So yeah, we have the vertical line and the diagonal line. We have blue with the dashed line, so it's got pulled in a different color there as well. So it's blue and a mix of another color. And we also, I don't remember which color this one was. What was it? It was green. So the green color is diagonal the other way. So yeah, sometimes for using Excel, if you need to differentiate colors, that works really well. But yeah, creating graphics in Excel is easy with bar charts, pie charts, that type of stuff. So with that, let's kind of dive into creating some of sometimes we have something that somebody says, I just if I could draw it, or sometimes that's just easier to draw it. Let's actually pull up Paint here. Again, because this is a printer and it works as a printer, you can print anything from anywhere as long as it has that print button. So this is going to be very I'm not a graphic designer. Lindsay is far better at this than I am. So I'm going to use Paint, and then she's going to wow you with Illustrator. But I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to draw a mountain. Here, we're actually going to draw a couple mountains. Triangles, but we're going to call them mountains. And there's going to be, if you're working with a student and you want to talk about the sun, rays coming off the sun. And from here, I'm just going to hit Control P for print. And we can print this, and I call this file Paint. And we have the Paint document right here. So yeah, you can make graphics pretty much anywhere. Let's say that you make the Paint graphic and you go, no, I want to make the mountains colored in, just with a lighter color. You can fill in the mountains, make the sun a different pattern. We're going to call this this diagonal. And so you can modify stuff when you get done. Same thing as with the fox. You can draw here. Oops, that was a low dot height. I could change that to a higher dot height. Draw, and then apply the label. It's just, so I'm just typing this out, so this could be grade, grade 1. But if, if you're comfortable with paint, you can use paint. If you're, let's see, we're just gonna open up Tiger Designer, which comes with TSS. And so we have a blank sheet here, and you could draw the exact same thing if you wanted to in Tiger Designer. So if you wanted to do, let's say, if you don't like the way the mountains turned out on that one, you can redraw the same image, just a different way to do that. You can put a sun up in the sky. Stick figure guy down here. I draw stick figures because I'm I'm not great at drawing, but yeah, you can make all of this stuff with Tiger Designer as well. The other thing sometimes we have, let's see, I'm just gonna look up a logo. I remember, so when I first started, Dan sent me home with a embosser, and it was super funny because he's like, just take it home, print something out with it, and I took it home and I thought, I have no idea how to make Braille. I have no idea how to print tactographics. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I jumped online, I just typed in Nike logo, and I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna look this up and I'm just gonna hit print. We're gonna see where it hangs up, and then um, actually let's do the white one here. I thought, well, I'm gonna see where it hangs up, and then we'll fix that. And then for some reason, let's see, save image as, it's a JPEG. Yeah, save this to the desktop. And so we can, this is basically what I did, that when I took that home, I opened up the JPEG and I hit Control P for print, opened up the print file, hit print, Nike. And we have our Tiger Center file here. And we have the Nike logo printed out. I know a lot of times when we go to shows, when we go to ATIA, we tend to print out, you know, Disney stuff. Because Disney World's there, right? We do that at CSUN too, I guess, because Disney World's at CSUN. But yeah, it's pretty easy to use it as a true printer. Let's see, so I'd like to leave a little bit of time at the end for questions. So I think I'm going to have Lindsay take over and show kind of show how she creates some of the tactographics if you want to get really creative with using maybe some more advanced stuff. That's not even our software. Adobe Illustrator is a huge, a very well-known software for graphic designers. So I know that we've had Lindsay uses that. We've got an architect that we know in San Francisco that uses this for making blueprints. So again, they're great printers for making stuff, and if it has a print button on it, it can print from there. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Lindsay, if you want to take over sharing your screen.
Sure. So I'm Lindsay. I am the artist of all of the coloring books that you might have seen at our shows or on our website. And I'm going to I'm going to do a quick drawing in Illustrator to kind of show my process of creating a coloring book page. And while I'm doing that, I think Lloyd is going to run some polls.
Yep.
So I'm going to share my screen. And so this is Illustrator. I'm going to make a new file, and I'm just going to do letter size, because that's how 8.5 by 11 is the size I use for the coloring books. And I start off with the pen tool with 3-point line width, because that ends up being about one dot width of lines. And I use black, so it's the highest dot height.
So while Lindsay's working on doing some drawing here, let's do got a couple polls here. The first one, I'm kind of just I'm curious of the embossers that you guys are using. So I've got the Rogue, the Leader Premier, the Spot Dot, the Columbia Delta, and the Embraille. I do realize that somebody may be using a basic D or something. So if you are using something other than the options here, if you could just put that in the comments and let me know what other embosser you might be using. Oh, the Pixblaster. I did forget to add that. So the Pixblaster is very similar to the Columbia. Lots of spot dots so far. That's great. Irie Braille sheet as well. Okay, so yeah, kind of quite a few of the embossers there. Delta 2, great. A little bit shocked we have nobody selected the Rogue yet. The Somebody mentioned on here earlier that they were using or they saw the Rogue at CSUN. Marco. Um, yeah, the Rogue is a great machine. I love the Rogue. It's very fast. Speaking of very fast, Lindsay's already got the tulip. Yeah.
So here's my little tulip. I like to add sort of like accent lines where I just pick a lighter color and I'll go in here and do like the center lines on the leaves, because I like to show lines that aren't as important, but help you. They're still important enough to be there, but maybe not as important to be as high of a dot as the outline. And then I'm just gonna move it down a little bit. What were you gonna say, Lloyd?
I was going to do one more poll here. This is it's basically just a word cloud. I'm curious on what types of tactile graphics everyone is making, whether that's charts or Yeah, basically just trying to figure out what's the most useful thing to dive into on future webinars. Maps. Maps is the big one. We have math on there. Okay, maps is huge. So maybe we need to do another training on just maps. That would be science subjects, maps, historical. Yeah, that'd be great. We could definitely do maps. So if we did another training on maps, um, how frequently would you guys want to attend a training? If we did the next one on maps, would you want to do that in 2 weeks or a month? And then we could pick another subject to do after that. If you just want to put that in the comments of how frequently that would be beneficial. Every 2 weeks? Okay. 3 weeks. Looks like we got a couple 2 weeks in there. Right, another 2 weeks. Okay, so I think we don't have credit for this right now, but we can look into that. Okay, I have sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Lindsay, if you
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, I'm just gonna finish up this page. So, Word and Excel will, when you're printing to your embosser, it will ignore anything that's not in a Braille font, which is not the case for Illustrator or other programs. So you'll have to hide layers that you don't want to print, and I'll show you how to do that. But I'm gonna make a label in just ink text that says tulip, and I like to be reasonably descriptive, so I'm gonna write tulip with stem and leaves. And I'm going to copy this. And for translation, I'm going to open up the View Plus Translator, which comes with Tiger Software Suite. So if you have TSS, you have this. And I'm going to translate to grade 2. And I think I did that wrong. Okay, translate clipboard text. And it'll translate, and it's already copied to your clipboard, so you don't need to copy it again. And I'm going to make another text box and paste that. And you'll have to change this to the Braille 36 font and make sure the font size is 36 point. I didn't have it selected, so it didn't change. And then I'm just gonna drag it right under. And so I mentioned before that when I go to print this, it's going to print the ink text. and I have print preview on, so it's going to pop up with a preview. So we get this up here, which we don't want. So I'm just going to go over to layers and hide the layer with the ink text. And then go back over here, print, and there's my tulip with the Braille label. And if you're printing to a regular ink printer first, you're going to want to do the opposite, show this, hide the Braille label. But what you can also do, and this is what Word does when you hide the Braille in Word, is you can just change it to white, and the ink printer isn't going to print it because it's white on white, but the embosser will still know it's there. So if you print, the Braille still shows up. And this is how I draw my coloring pages in Illustrator.
And actually, one thing to add, we do have those files online. So I noticed a lot of people in here already have our embossers. So you can actually go
Yes.
download. You don't need to buy the coloring book if you have an embosser. That's kind of just a fun thing to do for people that don't have the embossers. But if you have one, you can download the files and print them out for free for yourself.
So on our website, if you go to shop, we have 3 volumes here with a 4th volume coming out soon. If you go to any of these, of course, you can buy it if you don't have one of our embossers. But if you want to print your own, you can go to the download. And the Word doc file is the easiest to print because it'll work on any of our embossers. But for the first 2 volumes, we also have PDF and PRN, but these will only work on the Delta or the Rogue. But you can also go to resources, downloads, coloring books, and they're all here as well.
Perfect. I get a kick out of it at the shows. There's so many people that love the coloring books. So
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, perfect. Any questions that we have before we wrap this up that we might be able to cover in the last 10 minutes or so?
I've seen a couple questions in chat.
Yeah, there was so we went over some stuff there was one for a credit. Looks like every 2 weeks. We kind of settled on the next presentation being maps. I think I got all the questions covered. If I didn't get I was wondering if you could. Looks like Sarah here has. I was wondering if I can add labels using the 6-key entry with TSS. Absolutely. So we have QuickPaw, which if you want to, do you want to demonstrate QuickPaw or do you want me to?
I'll hand it back over to you.
Okay. So I will demonstrate this, but just know that I am terrible with using a QuickPaw because I cannot use a 6-key. I cannot use 6-key entry. I cannot use it accurately. I'll put it that way. Let's see. We're going to open up Word. Actually, I think she'd ask for Tiger Designer, but it's the same. So we do have in the Tiger menu we have QuickPaw, and QuickPaw can be opened from the Word menu, or we also have it as a standalone QuickPaw here in the apps. So once you open QuickPaw, basically this turns your keyboard into a 6-key entry device, and so you can enable this, and this works across everything on Windows. So once it's the home row. So once you start typing, as you press keys together, it will it will use those braille dots. Again, this is something you'd want to do in I think it's 36-point font. Funny thing about this is, let's see, say don't save. I believe this works everywhere, so I can. Yeah. So slips everywhere. You want to make it make it the right font size. So, and I think that one's on 8 maybe. Um, yeah, 8 key. So I can disable this. You can select if you want a 6 or 8 key from the settings. So quick pause is a great way to do that. Let's see. Other questions we have. I would like to know if I can create my own graphics using the Tiger software with the Pixblaster. Yes, you can. I think that's all the questions. Will TSS or at least Tiger Designer be coming to the Mac anytime soon? We're talking about that. I don't know. I don't know how soon that will be. We have noticed a lot of people use um, a lot of people use Macs because they work in the school district, and Macs are kind of preferred in the school district. So that would be nice. We're working on it. I can't tell you how soon it's going to be though. Um, is there a code or key for QuickBot, or can this function work? Let's see, or can this function work with? Um, so I don't know how to do it, Ashley, here with the QuickPaw, but I do know that I do know you can use this with the hymns note takers. I don't know about I'd have to look into the Braille e-reader hookup. See, we got Marco. Do you have a procedure you'd recommend for printing SVG files straight through the embosser from Mac? Um, okay, so that goes back to TSS on the Mac. Hopefully, at some point soon, that would be great to have that as an option. I'm new to learning about tactile design. I just can't see the shared screen. Just curious. Can it be done with a screen reader? Um, if so, the drawing of it itself. So Rachel, this is asking about the screen reader. Uh, the drawing itself, I don't think can be done with a screen reader. But as far as navigate, I think Word is very accessible. So navigating through that and placing images is accessible. So you can, I think you can create stuff with that. I'd have to double check with John to see the level of accessibility on some of the creating that. And also, you had asked about the coloring books in grade 1. We do have grade 1 and grade 2 for the coloring books. Do graphics designed in Braille 29 fonts still work with the new embossers? Yes, they do. Can you share some keyboard commands for the functions as you explain? Um, we can let me follow up with you after this, Ashley. Can you build your own tactile graphics using a screen reader by writing them in an SVG code? So John is actually working on this right now. John's got a couple projects that he's working on. I don't know how close he is to being done with them, but he's working on a couple solutions for this. Thanks for playing. Thanks. Oh, and the other thing too. So I don't know how many people here have the Tiger software suite already. If you don't have it, you can download it for free for 30 days with no key needed. So if you want to download the new one, or if you have like, let's say you have TSS 6 and you want to try some of the stuff. I think TSS 8 came into um, TSS came into or TSS 8 has the color pattern fill. So if you have 6 or 7 and you want to try the color pattern fill, you're welcome to download a new version for 30 days. I'm new to this. Can you show me how to add the Tiger submenu to Word? If you can. Perfect. So the Tiger submenu is actually with the Tiger software suite. So if you go to, let me just share my screen here. B plus. So if you go to shop and then just go to the Tiger Software Suite 8, and you want to just download the Tiger Software Suite. Right now we're on version 8.1.5. This will give you 30 days to use it without a license. After that, you'll need the license. Any of our embossers come with a free version of whatever Tiger Software Suite was out when you purchased it. So when you download and install the Tiger Software Suite, that will add that Tiger menu to your Word. Perfect. I think I've got all the questions answered. Got a couple minutes left for anything for questions. I'll take your guys' suggestion on the maps. So I will schedule another one of these for 2 weeks out on maps. That was a question. It's funny. Marcos, I'll follow up with you after this. Let's say I got Marco on blind SVG. I'll follow up with you after this, Marco, and we can talk about that. That would be great. Yeah, I will send out another an invite for 2 weeks to go over maps, and we'll do the same thing all over again, going over maps. I'll try to keep it within an hour, like we did today. Usually, I'll get started pretty close to right at the top of the hour. Thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. You have my email, my phone number, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.